doing this for 2 years, don't tell me I'm impatient. Compare me to Ross and I'm LeBron of my generation. I'm only second to the MJ of my town. Purple rain weather, I'm the prince of the crown. And to the biggest, I mean that with all due respect, but we from the same city. The fuck you expect to the haters? You can gather you my need, but if it came down to Hulu's bread, rather you than me. Not many come master cerebral chilling in my membrane. Corday's the only young nigga fucking with my pen game. Together we could probably get more hits than Mets games.
Yo, what's good? You already know it's me, your boy Bakerboy.
You already know who I am, man. The greatest rapper under 30 years old. It's your boy Young Cicero. How's everybody doing, man?
And we here celebrating the Miami Heat.
Yes, sir. The hometown team.
Going to the championship in the bubble.
In the bubble.
Hey, shout out to Spo, man, because this is one of them situations where you see a good coach separates himself from the pack.
Yeah, 100%.
Miami Heat were the 5th seed, not even expected to make it out of the first round, not even expected to beat Milwaukee and handle them easily, taking out the MVP. And, you know, they've showed what a true team is, and I'm proud of them because 100%. To do it in the way that they're doing it shows that they worked hard and they really want to win. So shout out to the Miami Heat, man.
Shout out to everybody,
representing hometown and hard work.
Yeah. You know, and obviously, you know, the first year I actually watched basketball as a kid was actually the year that we won back in 2006. I was 6 years old at the time. And that was the first year that I actually watched a full season of basketball. We just happened to win it that year. So that kind of sparked my love for the game. And then obviously we had the big three and we made history with that. But I don't think I've ever enjoyed watching a team as much as I watched this team. Like I don't think I've ever sat down and actually felt as joyful as I do watching this team for real.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, you know, it's funny that you say that because that's how I related with the Lakers.
Yeah.
That's why, you know, I don't like to get into different decades because that decade to you is what it was to you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And a lot of time we tend to forget that. And that's why, you know, even with the Lakers making it to the championship and Kobe Bryant's passing this year and the emotions that come with it, for sports fans like me, bro, I remember rushing home at night to watch Kobe's games. You know what I mean? Like after Shaq left, we watched him grow up.
Those years where he was where the Lakers weren't exactly that great, but he was in his prime.
But we watched him grow from that young Afro kid from the bald-headed kid to the Afro Kobe to the Kobe, I'm here now, Shaq, you got to leave, to I'm here by myself, and I still can do it. Yeah. Like, we watched him grow up, so when I hear you say that you relate to this team, I totally understand that because that's what the Lakers were for me growing up. Like, you know, I love that about them.
Yeah. And you know what I think is extra special about this Heat team in particular that I don't think enough people are talking about. Maybe because they don't realize it because it requires a little bit of thought, but I don't think I've ever watched a Heat team that has represented the city this way. And what I mean by that is, you know, the city of Miami, and the people who are going to understand this are only people from here. People who are not from here are not going to get this. But the city of Miami is a city full of underdogs, right? It's a city full of a lot of hardworking people. Everybody kind of thinks Miami is just like a palm tree city with beaches. But, Miami is a lot of grittiness going on in this city. It's a lot of hardworking people in this city. There's a lot of people who you know, a lot of odds are stacked against them and they make something out of themselves. And I think this team in particular is kind of just like a representation of what the values and the core of this city is. They just do it on a basketball court. So this is a real special group right here. And,
you know, you probably wasn't watching basketball at the time, but this team reminds me of the P.J. Brown, Alonzo Mourning, Tim Hardaway
back in the late 90s.
Dan Marley team. The only difference was Steve Smith, Keith Atkins. Yeah. The only difference was they just didn't win the championship.
Yeah,
they had all of those same qualities, but it was such a different game.
Minus this success.
Yeah,
because that team. I don't even think I was alive on that team because I think that team played in the late 90s or maybe the early 2000s. I was a baby. That was a hard, gritty team that won 50, 60 games a year, but then they would get bounced in the first or second round. But they were still a great team to watch.
They ran into either
the Knicks or the Bulls,
Bulls team,
the great Bulls team, or when the Knicks were good.
Or the Knicks, and then we have these right. So to me, you know, growing up watching those games, we never looked at the Heat as losing,
right?
Because those games were wars. You know what I mean? So we were happy to watch them compete.
Yeah.
You know, so when they won that first championship with Wade and Shaq, that was just something totally different from us. You know, me being an older Heat fan. So,
Yeah.
You know, I understand exactly where you're coming from, and you know, it's different decades, so you look at it totally different.
Yeah.
But they were that for us. They just didn't win. They just didn't win. That's the only
minus the
difference
success.
was.
Yeah,
But the hard work was there. The dedication was there.
Those guys, the Tim Hardaway, Steve Smith, Zoe, all those guys.
That Heat mentality's always been.
They were the founders of that. You know what I mean?
Before Pat Riley,
before Spoelstra, they were the ones who came to Miami and said, "Hey, listen, we're more than just a palm tree beach city. We can come here and work hard." They set the foundation for that, and those guys are still attached to the franchise. You see, Zoe's, I think, a player development coach or something like that. I might be wrong on that. Tim Hardaway's always around, so. You come to Miami, and even if you leave, you're going to always be attached to the team in some kind of way.
What's surprising to me is that you see all of those characteristics, right, within the Miami Heat. You also used to see those characteristics within the Miami Hurricanes.
Right.
With all of the veteran players and everybody. Why is it we never saw that in the Miami Dolphins?
Saw that like, I know what you mean. Because the
Miami Dolphins,
the Canes were amazing back in the early 2000s.
But not even so much as just winning. It's more about, even when the Dolphins were winning, they were more like trying to be the South Beach version of winning.
You talking about the Marino Dolphins?
Yeah. It was like, we're going to be the South Beach version of throwing the ball, being pretty. We're not going to be the gritty Hurricanes. So we look at the Hurricanes, we think of the Ray Lewises.
Yeah.
We think about the hard workers.
The Frank Gores, the Ray Lewises. Even Dwayne Johnson, who didn't even make it to the NFL, still one of the hardest working guys. You know,
When you look at
Jimmy
the Heat,
Graham,
you think of the Heat as being that hard working Miami Heat town team.
Yeah.
But to me, the Miami Dolphins always pretend to be like that South Beach vibe.
You want to know why I think that is? And I wasn't alive to watch the Marino Dolphins, but I watch reruns like crazy all the time, and I study, so I have a pretty good understanding of it. I think it's because at the time the culture of Miami was very different, and I'm talking about in the city. Miami was still growing at the time. Like, you think back to the 70s when the Dolphins had that undefeated season and they were winning Super Bowls in that decade. And then the 80s and 90s, that was like it's a deep conversation. I got a real deep thought. But like the 80s and 90s was the crack era, and it was the party era, and Miami was a place for that. Yeah. And I think because of that, since the Dolphins were the biggest team in the city at the time, I think that culture kind of gravitated and went through the Dolphins. Not that they weren't successful, but just that image went through.
They just didn't have that image of the grittiness.
Yeah, they didn't have the image of the grittiness. Because at the time, the city wasn't looked at as a gritty city at the time. It's still not, but now it's known that we're a gritty city, even though we're still looked at as a party city. But back then, we weren't looked at as a gritty city. Back then, we were looked at as a party city, and I think that's why the Dolphins were looked at that way. But they definitely worked hard, bro. Like, they had Dan Marino, and they was coached by Don Shula. Like, they was definitely busting their ass for sure.
And that's what I would never doubt that. It's just they never showed their persona.
Maybe culture is why.
Yeah.
The
so,
vibes.
We want to know what you guys think. Are you guys excited that the Miami Heat are going to the championship? Do you think that the Heat got a chance against LeBron James?
LeBron James, man.
The LA version of LeBron James.
It's going to be a hell of a series, man.
So, let us know what you guys think. And also, let us know what you think about the mentality, the gritty mentality of the Miami Heat that we see in what we used to see in the Hurricanes. We're going to see now in the Hurricanes.
Yeah, Hurricanes looking nice right now.
They're looking real nice.
They're looking real nice right now, yeah.
Shout out to UM. But, let us know what you guys think. We'll be back with another M&O Hot Topic.
Been doing this for 2 years, don't tell me I'm impatient. Compare me to Ross and I'm LeBron of my generation. I'm only second to the MJ of my town. Purple rain weather, I'm the prince of the crown. And to the biggest, I mean that with all due respect. But we from the same city, the fuck you expect to the haters? You can gather you my need, but if it came